Hello agents and welcome back to another Division video. Today we've almost come to the end of our series of guides for the Iron Horse raid. This one is going to be for the very last boss, Morozova. I'm going to include the video for the guide and all the builds as well in the description down below for this fight and for all the previous ones that I have done in this series. First of all, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the map. I'm going to suggest some good positioning for different roles. I'm going to suggest what kind of roles that we use to make it really easy for ourselves. And I'll have a quick, very brief walkthrough of the different phases in the fight. But I will, after that, I'll show a complete run of this fight. I'll try and show as many perspectives as possible. And I'll commentate over the top of that. So if you already know how this fight works, you already know your positioning and things like that, by all means skip to the second half of this video and just check out the run through of how we do it. When you arrive though, a nice little tip is if you brought 2 rockets with you from the previous fight, you can actually make the first phase really quick. You can open this door and you don't have to cross this line. You can engage all of the bad guys and the timer for the train will not start. So what I recommend is you open this door up, your healer drops the healer hive, and you concentrate on the chunga. You can kill any of the other bad guys, but do keep the rocket guys alive. You are going to take some rockets to the face, but don't worry too much about it. You've got your tanks to help you out for that, and you've got your healer to help you out for that as well. Once all the bad guys are dead and the heavy is down, you're going to have 2 tanks for this fight. So one tank's going to be in charge of grabbing the keys, and the other tank is going to be in charge of keeping Morozova from exploding all over the rest of your team and possibly causing you a wipe. But I'll get to that a little later on in the video. I recommend 1 healer and everybody else on DPS, but if you are struggling with healers, by all means bring 2 healers. 2 healers, 2 tanks, and everybody else on DPS is going to work just as well until you're very comfortable with the fight. So we've killed everything. The key is on the floor just outside and we're going to run out. Your key tank is going to go and grab the key and they're going to take it over there to the computer, which I'll show you in a second. But just while we're on this side, what you need to be aware of, your rocket's going to spawn from just here behind here. I recommend 1 DPS on this part because they're going to get shielded from the fire from the back. Another DPS on this part because of the same reason, and another DPS here on this part. Don't go in here because you can't get out and you're going to get hit by the train's mortars. All the ads on the right hand side, otherwise known as the red side, spawn from this door here. So that's just what you need to keep aware of, and your 3 guys on this side should be able to take care of them. As long as you're listening to your game sounds, you'll be able to hear when this ad spawns just behind you with the rocket. She says all kinds of bad language, gives you plenty of time to turn around and shoot them. If they get killed while they're up there, even better because the rocket will drop on you and then you can just fire it at the train. Your key tank's going to have grabbed the key and they're going to stand in this area. They're going to get a countdown. When that gets to 100%, a few seconds later they'll be able to put the key in and we get control of this huge gun. And that helps us progress the phases of the fight. Over here, this is where the rocket spawns from this door here. I do recommend somebody on this section here, it's nice and covered, or on this section here, again nice and covered, and they get line of sight on the bad guys and the train. Here is also a really good spot as well. Just be careful because you can't move up and down if you get too far at the end, but you can from here. And if you're using a mortar or a turret, sorry, you can put it on any of these sections up here and provide some good DPS. And you're shielded from what will be the fire from the back. This section's a little bit ropey because you're fully open to the train, so I wouldn't really recommend it. And this section here can be really hard as well. Even though you can take some protection from the train, it can be pretty tough here as well. So I really only recommend being here when you know what you're doing. This is where the ads spawn from the left. They all come from that door here. You can, however, go under here if you've got a build that can one-shot, perhaps, if you're on a sniper build. Under here, you're protected from the mortars. They don't hurt you, but you're going to get sprayed from that gun there, so you do need to be really careful. You could use this part here if you really wanted to, but again, you're open from the train, So I would only recommend this if you really do know what you're doing. This obviously won't be here because it'll be up on the top of the train. But that's all the positioning, and that's where we like to put everybody. Your healer will drop a hive on one side, then run over and help heal the other side, and they'll just migrate back and forth. They get some time in between doing all this stuff so they can help fire the rockets. Same with your tank, especially your Morozova tank that is going to be in charge of cancellations. They got a lot of time on the first round, so they can just help out getting the rockets, calling things out, making sure people have bonus armor and all that good stuff. So when you've come in, if you did bring 2 rockets with you, as soon as this key is gone in, you'll be able to shoot any section of this part of the train and it takes the damage. You can then kill 2 more rocketeers and fire another 2, and then kill another 2 rocketeers and fire another 2. And that round will be pretty much over instantly. Just be careful you don't kill the rocket guys. If you do come in and you've not brought any rockets with you, just do the same. It'll just be a little bit slow because you'll have to wait 2 adds to spawn. But you'll still get phase 1 done in plenty of time. So once the mortar is down, the big red mortar that appears on the top of the train, we then have to take out the smaller mortars. They take 2 rockets each. But if you want to save a little bit of time on the next phase, because it's all a rush to get the main red mortar bullet down, you can fire just 1 rocket at this last one here, and then all of the team can DPS the rest of it, so you save 1 rocket launcher. And then head to the middle. You'll see Morozova for the very first time, and this is the only safe zone at this point. This gun's going to be firing, and we're going to get a barrage of rockets all over here, everywhere in front of this line. And if you're out there, there's no surviving it. You can't heal through it. It's instant death. So your tanks will come here. They'll pop the shields out, and everybody needs to stack up behind. Don't worry if you get a mortar coming from the smaller mortars at any point later on in this fight. Between your tanks and your healer, you should be able to heal through it. And that's the end of phase 1. Morozova's run off, headed into that section, caused a barrage of rockets to come down. And once that's finished, you're going to run out and everyone's going to go back to the position. Just be careful when you run out, because adds will spawn from here and they will spawn from here. So it's quite easy to get caught up, but don't stick around here. Make sure you use this time. Get back into your positions, get back into cover. That's the most important thing to do, and then start killing the adds. So the train's going to have all its defences back up. You're going to be getting mortared again. And if you've not checked out my previous video on accessibility options, you can make this fight easier for yourself. You can see the mortars with a nice white ring around them. I'll link that in the description down below. That really does make, especially if you're on this side, it really does make it easier for you, because you just sometimes can't see the red mortar circle because of the colour of the floor. It just does, you just can't see it. It's really tough. So do check that video out as well. During that first section, just so you know, just so you've been able to take control of this gun, you're going to get heavies that are going to spawn from the train, from the door there and from this door here. Very important they die as quickly as you can, because you can't progress the fight without killing them guys. So your key tank's literally just going to be going chunga left, kill that one, chunga right, kill that one, and then come and bobbing the key in here. And then once you've done that, you'll be heading over there. And the same thing happens again later on in the fight. But for this next section, for phase 2, it's really easy, this one, because all you've got to do is deal with Morozova, and you've just got to deal with the red mortar bullets. So for Morozova, your tank is now going to be busy, your second tank. It's really easy if you've already got the Ravenous, but I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you might not already have the Ravenous. She does a move, she has a rocket launcher on her back, and she will fire some rockets up in the air, and they hit anybody randomly in the raid really hard. Now you can counteract it a little bit. There's a few different ways of doing this if you've not got the Ravenous. It's any kind of explosive damage. So you could use perhaps the Merciless. I used to use a sticky bomb along with the grenade launcher, and regular grenades as well do work. So bring a whole load of resources with you if you've not got the Ravenous yet. I would advise keeping your shield. Obviously you're a tank, you need it, but you could swap the decoy I've got here out for the sticky bomb and use that as well. Your other tank can help out as well if you are short, but basically this tank wants to bring in a merciless, grenade launcher, grenades and a sticky bomb to cover anything to do with Morozova's interruptions. She runs around, she's really horrible. You can shoot her in the head and sometimes get her aggro, but she will aggro all your other DPS no matter how hard you're hitting her. So do call out to your DPS and just get them to move away from her. Stay as far away as possible, because if more than 2 people are within close proximity of her, she will do an electric shock move that then could be followed up by the rocket launcher move, and all of a sudden you could be having people on the floor and it becomes really difficult. If you do have the Ravenous, I would recommend using the decoy. You can keep her tied up in, like, you know, just in corners for a long period of time during the fight, and it just makes it really easy. Obviously, if you do fail to interrupt her, I would recommend that your tank that is doing the interrupts runs Vanguard or Perfect Vanguard, because all they can do then at that point is they can pop the shield out and they can give the squad bonus armor. That should be enough to tank the explosions coming down on them as long as they're not stacked up, but it's for, obviously that person's got complete control of that then. Your second tank can run something very much different than Vanguard, perhaps run a tardigrade for extra lives, but I'll include that in the builds down below. So once you have taken down this middle section, you will notice that the electric that was in the safe area will now disappear. You can all head back to the middle and it's the same process again. You need to DPS Morozova though this time. To progress this part of the fight, you have to take away 3 bars of her health. Don't take away 3 bars of her health before you're ready and you've got rid of the electricity from this section. If you do, she'll run into this room, she'll set the rockets off, and you'll die because you can't get in here because of the electric. So it's very important to manage Morozova's life. You don't have to rush, there's no time limit at this point or anything like that. You only progress the fight when you are ready. So once this rocket, this mortar, this big red mortar is down, the electricity will disappear from here. Take 3 bars of life from Morozova and head over here. Try and pull Morozova as close to this section as you possibly can without it becoming too damaging, because if you damage her when she's right next to the room, you've got very little time to get back into this section and get stacked up. Once she's done the rocket barrage, again we move on to the next phase of the fight, which again is a relatively easier section. Adds come out from both sides as before, and what you've got to do this time is just take down this middle section. So same as before, you're going to have your rockets coming from here and from here. Get them fired up there as quickly as possible. Your tank, in my case, will be taking care of Morozova, keeping her from setting off her rockets. But this time you're going to have some green miniguns on the train as well, and these can be really irritating. Now you can't do any damage to them, you can't stop them firing at you. When they start firing, they will fire for a solid 5 seconds on a target, and there's nothing you can do about it. So if you're the target, get in cover, get yourself hidden. It's only 5 seconds. Don't try and peek them or anything like that. They really do hurt, especially as a DPS. So as a tank, it's not so bad. I built this build and the other tank build that we have in here just so we can be constantly out in the open. We're constantly getting armor back. We can use Vanguard. In my case, I use the Ravenous for extra bonus armor as well, just to make it even easier, but that is definitely not necessary. Now, this time around, you actually have an extra thing that you need to worry about. You're going to have heavies again, like you did at the very beginning of the fight, spawning. But these are actually the key to success, and they're actually the key to making the fight easier at this point, because you're going to have a lot of things. You're going to have the miniguns firing at you, you're going to have mortars coming at you, you've got Morozova running around. She's only got 4 bars of health left at this point, so when you take her down, she will go into this room again and proc the rocket. So you got to be careful you don't kill her, especially if people are running turrets and drones and all that good stuff as well. She takes damage from the gun, she takes damage from the mortars as well, so keep a close eye on her life. By the time you get into the end, you want to be down to 1 bar, but you don't want to be down there too quick. So what's really important is obviously, as with the previous 2 rounds, you're killing the rocket guys and you're firing them up here at the top. But then what's also important is that you're getting the chungers that come from the right and the left dead as quickly as possible. They'll drop a key and your key tank's going to be running out. They're going to be calling them out, grabbing them and getting back here as soon as possible. And when they do, the gun this time around starts damaging the train, and as it damages the train, obviously it takes down the mini mortar and it takes down the machine gun as well, which just makes the fight easier at this point because you've got much less incoming damage coming towards you. So the quicker you get them chungers down, the better. But don't forget, priority is always going to be the red mortar bullet, because if that's not gone, it's instant wipe. If that rocket gets loaded in, it fires at the White House and that is it. It is game over. That's your wipe mechanic. So it's pretty hard to explain how to deal with all that. I think you really need to be playing it. But as long as you guys are in the positions, you'll be fine. As long as people are listening for the rockets to spawn and they shoot the rockets up as quick as they can, you'll be fine. And it's very important that the heavies, the chungers, get killed as quickly as possible. If you're feeling really comfortable, you could bring someone with a sniper build to this. They could break the armor on the heavies really quickly, shoot the chest or shoot the head, and then say, right, DPS, I've shot the chest, I've broke the armor, go ham on the chest or go ham on the head, and go that way. If you've got a really good sniper build though, and you manage to kill the heavy before he touches the floor, the key is going to spawn on the person that is the closest to that heavy. So if that's the tactic you're going down, just make sure your key tank is the furthest up the battlefield. It's a real nice way of doing it, but it's a pretty advanced technique, and if you're just starting this fight, I wouldn't recommend doing that just yet. So once you've destroyed the train, you'll see the life bar come up for the train for this round, and that will disappear. You'll have just Morozova's life bar left. You've all got to just do what you've done before. Head over here, shoot Morozova. This time you'll take her down to no armor whatsoever. Head into here. She'll do the rocket barrage from that room, and this gun will fire. And then you're home free at this point. You just got to head back out. She'll come out of the room, and it's just DPS. Everyone can just DPS her. She'll go down on her knees. She'll swear a lot at you. Her mouth is absolutely disgusting. But then she'll drop a rocket, and this rocket's being loaded really quickly at this point. But if you just shoot it, as soon as you see the life bar, it ends the fight. Earthshaker crashes to the ground like you can see here, and you have won. You can use any rockets. You'll have a couple of rockets on the floor from the previous round, and she will also drop a rocket as well, just in case for some reason you do miss. But that's just a very good point actually. In that last round, once you've got the red mortar down, kill the people that spawn with the rockets and just leave the rockets on the floor. Don't use them. If you don't use them, the rocket guys don't spawn, and you save yourself having to worry about 2 extra ads on either side at the back, so everyone else can then just concentrate on killing ads and getting the rest of the fight done and getting them chungers down. And that's it. Your loot spawns just here, and this door opens, and the chest, if you're lucky enough to get a Ravenous, I don't know if we can see it from out here, you can just about see it. It's just in there if you've got 5 keys. If it's your first time, you'll be able to pop that chest and have your luck. You also get the chance at the backpacks and the chest for the project, and if it's your first time completing the raid, you'll get your projects so that you can then progress with getting yourself a Regulus. Okay, so that's it for my walkthrough. Hopefully that was brief enough and I explained everything. I'm going to show the fight now. I'll commentate over the top. I've got views from me being a tank. I've got views from me being a DPS. So I'll cram as much information in as I possibly can. But here we go. Okay, so here we are. We are about to start. You hit the console and open the door. Now if we don't have any rockets with us, so we can't use the technique I did talk about before. So this time around I think we just kill everything in sight. But as you can see, we don't go out. We just focus on getting everything killed. As you can see, there's a rocket that has just dropped. Focusing on the chunga. And there's the key. And as you can see, everything dies. The fight doesn't actually start, so you don't have to rush out. You can make sure you're all ready. Plan everything out. And then out we go. So, I'm not the key tank, but just for the purposes of this video, I have taken the first key just to show you what happens. So as you can see, there is a timer that builds up. And once that timer builds up, you can press the button and start the fight. As you can see, my healer there, Smudgy, he's just collecting rockets. He's just going to heal people. And what I should have done here and that I didn't do is on the computer screen, it does tell you which side the gun is going to fire at. It's going to fire to the left or it's going to fire to the right. So if you're this tank, it's always very useful to let them know so they can take cover. So as you can see here, Smudgy and McShimmy are going to get hit. Tosh is okay over there, but that was my bad. I should have let them know. As you can see there, the gun fires over because I didn't put the key in. I should have put the key in way quicker. And the spray would not have happened. But just so I could show you what happens, there you go. So what we'll see now is we'll just wait for the PC to become available, the laptop to become available, and I'll put the key in and we'll progress as normal. So you pop it in and the gun fires. And your first heavy will come out on the left. So as you can see, the red mortar is now available in the middle, and that's what you want to kill the fastest. That's to stop the white mechanic. All of your left hand side should really be focusing on the heavy now. It does take the tanks a while. It's doing it by themselves. As you can see as well, the white circle was appearing on the floor, which is the accessibility options that I was talking before. That just makes mortars easy to see. My key tank's on the way back now. And they're gonna stand and get ready to get that key in, and then we'll get another heavy on the right hand side. Obviously we should be calling out snipers, dodging any mortars that are coming down, and killing the rocket people that come out on the left and the right as soon as possible. As you can see, most people are in the positions that I talked about before. And there we go, the white mechanic has been cleared, and now it's just a matter of time while we just collect keys from the chungas, from the heavies, and we use more rockets to take out the mortars in this first phase. So really nothing to worry about in this first phase. Take your time, get the rockets dead, and collect the keys.
Mortar down.
Takes 2 rockets per mortar. From 10.1, from patch 10.1, they actually take more than 50% of the mortar's life. They take more like 60%. I'm not sure why. But if you do plan on DPSing any of the mortars, perhaps with a striker's build or something like that, it's going to make that a little bit quicker. As you can see, we're waiting for another key to go in. Because if you're really up on time and you're really ahead of it, you can actually have all of your mortars down and have 2 rockets ready to fire. You can be way ahead. Being a tank, well, much easier to go to the weak point. But as you can see with my build as well, I can just be out in the open. I don't have to worry about being in cover or anything like that. You'll just heard the noise for the key drop. That's the next chunga that's gone down. And as you can see, the spray is spraying on the left hand side, so if someone would have been watching the computer, they should have said spray coming over, get in cover.
An agent needs assistance.
I don't have to be using explosive ammo here just because I'm a tank. I'm just trying to kill things as quickly as possible. There is certainly nothing special about me doing that. I was just experimenting. As you can see, there you go. We put the last key in. We'll fire a rocket at it. And we'll take it down. And you can hear actually Morozova coming out now as that mortar died.
Launch an airstrike on my mark.
So you all stack up in the green. Take cover behind your tank. Put my shield as late as possible because I'm using Vanguard, so it becomes invincible for 5 seconds. And now everyone back to your positions. And me as the interrupt tank, it's my job to deal with Morozova. So even though she's immune, I can put my stacks on ready. And there you go, I interrupted her rocket move.
No.
I'm using my decoy, basically just to keep her away from everybody. So the only purpose of this part of the fight now is to get the rockets and get them fired at the train in the middle. As you can see, I use both sides of the Ravenous if you're lucky enough to have it. Keep my bonus armor up in case I'm being hit by anything else, but also put out some damage. There's the electric shock move, as 2 of us were too close to her. That can be really tricky if too many of you are stacked up together. But if you're using Vanguard, just try and give your team bonus armor before they get the spray on their side. It just helps out if they get caught in it. As you can see, I'm using decoys again just to try and keep Morozova in the middle. Keep her away from everybody else. And there's the rocket move again. And it's just a waiting game now. As you can see, the electricity in the middle. It's just a waiting game for the guys to use the rockets to take the middle mortar down before we can gather up and move to the next phase. All I'm trying to do is get her 3 bars of health down at this point, so that when the red mortar in the middle is gone, it's really quick for my team to DPS her and move us to the next phase. So as you probably heard in the background, the middle section is now down and we want to be gathering up in the middle. Hopefully I make it. That's why I said it's always very careful to make sure you push them 3 bars of health at the right point. If, like what's happened there, if some members of your team do go down in this section, don't try and pick them up, use hives. Because otherwise you can find yourself, you're in there and the electric comes back and there's no saving them until the next phase. So again, straight back out, fire the rockets that we've got on the floor as quickly as possible. To keep Morozova disrupted. This time you've got green miniguns to worry about as well. You can actually just hear one behind me shooting. But the good thing about my tank build and about the other tank build is we can just be out in the open, we don't have to worry about anything. I gave bonus armor then because the spray was coming to our side. Again, 3 bars of her life is what moves the fight on to the next phase. The red eye indicates who she's going to try and damage. And as you can see, no matter how much damage you put into her, sometimes she just doesn't want to play with you. That's why I use decoy. You can see there just in front of us the green miniguns, the chain guns from the train that fire for 5 seconds. And there you see the cannon has now been put down again. So now all we need to do is move to the middle and take that one last bar of life off her to progress to the last phase of the fight. There's 2 more bars of life. When you move to the next one, it leaves her with 4 bars. This is going to hurt. But somebody managed to get the interrupt off instead of me. That's the joy of when multiple people in your team have the Ravenous. So easy to interrupt them. As you can see now, the mortar's going to land on us. Just stick it out, move back to your positions. You can see the healer's got the healer hive on. None of us really took any amount of damage. The DPS are running demo as well. They can ignore an explosion every 60 seconds. Definitely worth running for sure, especially when you're newer to the fight. Get my stacks ready. And just interrupt her. And again, I just do the same again this time around. The only thing that is different this time around is the DPS now have to kill the heavies for the keys again as quickly as possible, as well as us doing the rockets. So you can see the rocket coming out there just on my right. My DPS person's coming over to deal with that for me. But what you'll see is when we put the keys in now from the heavies, that the train physically starts to get damaged, and therefore the fight actually becomes easier at this point. Do be careful though sometimes, and I don't know why. If you do damage her, it is possible that she still gets the rockets off. It's a rare occasion, but sometimes it does happen. And when you're migrating between phases, so once you've done the 3 bars of damage, if you do it just at the wrong time, and when she becomes immune, she can still get the rockets off even when running. And therefore if you're all gathered together in that point, it can be really, really harsh. Bonus armor because we're getting the spray. As you can see, Iron Horse's life is now starting to disappear. Hopefully I'll look at the train in a second and you'll be able to see the damage that our minigun is doing. There you go, you can see just there on the right hand side, a whole section is now destroyed.
Automated defenses detected. Caution advised.
But again, I'm just getting a life down as close to that 1 bar as possible. As you can see, Iron Horse is being destroyed because we're collecting the keys and the minigun is going off. There you go. Just got that interrupt in.
No launch. Repeat, no launch.
And we just need 1 more key from 1 more heavy.
Automated defenses detected. Caution advised.
And that will be the end of Iron Horse and the end of the fight pretty much. So I just wanted to interrupt and show you this part in a different perspective. This is me as a DPS.
Caution advised.
We're in the very last phase. As you can see, I'm just grabbing a rocket there from the spawn. Getting really hurt.
Serious trauma.
So that's why it's definitely important to be in cover when that gun is firing out. It really does hurt. And it's definitely important to have a healer that can refresh reviver hives. There you can see the Chunga. I've got him dead. And he dropped the key for our tank. And I'll just keep it going for a little bit before I flip back. As you can hear, the computer's beeping. But we missed it that time around, so the right hand side got the spray. Because you have to wait for the percentage to build up. As you can see, the train's starting to be destroyed. And any second now, our gun's going to fire and start destroying the right hand side.
Caution advised.
There you go. And you can see the right hand side of the train being damaged by our gun by collecting the keys. Doing whatever I can to get her life down.
An agent needs assistance.
There you go, she got some rockets off, but I provided my team
Caution advised.
with bonus armour. One of them hit me as well, luckily enough. But it really didn't matter. Iron Horse is completely gone. And now it's time just to DPS all of her armour off. And make a run for the middle for the very last time. As you can see, there's no real rush to get your shield out. You have got plenty of time. Feels much more nerve-wracking though the first few times around. And then DPS the boss. And as soon as you see the life bar on the train,
I can't!
being shot by my teammates, you can fire the rocket, and that is the end of the fight. Nice and easy. I hope my guide helps. Just to add to this guide, what I'm going to do, and I'll link it in the description down below, I'll upload the full run of me running as DPS, so you've got a full fight from a different point of view. I won't comment over that because I think I give you all the information you need in this video, but do go and check it out if you want to see me running this fight as a DPS. Do come and check us out over on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJTICKLE, where you'll see us running the raid, helping people out almost every day. Hit that subscribe button and hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.